Trivia time! Growing up, I was very picky with the media I watched, meaning I missed out on a lot of shows that people hold to their hearts. Basically, if it wasn't Nicktoons, I wasn't going to watch it, only with some exceptions. Obviously everyone was into The Simpsons at the time, but I was that damn picky that I didn't want to watch it. But I did enjoy another show.
My parents, my coworkers, my girlfriend. I'll never see any of them again.
Futurama was this strange and bizarre show at the time, but the only reason I watched it back then was because of Bender.
I'll go build my own lunar lander with blackjack and hookers.
I was a weird kid. This makes some sense as Bender is the breakout star of Futurama, just like Bart Simpson was to The Simpsons. So Futurama holds a place in my heart alongside those earlier seasons of The Simpsons when I finally stopped being so damn picky. I won't bore you with all the details of each season of the show as we are focusing on season 11 for this video. Released around 10 years after the fourth ending to Futurama, season 11 came out and it definitely feels different. For this video, we'll be doing a quick summary of each episode released for season 11, then concluding with my thoughts. But before we get into that, we need to discuss what my stance is on Futurama. Before season 11, I watched all the episodes going into it to refresh myself. Season 1 to 5 is the classic era of Futurama, arguably the best period as the jokes landed perfectly, and they used the setting to its full advantage.
Aww, I'll call him Nibbler.
Aww, I'll fire up the grill.
Season 6, or the full movies for Futurama, was essentially a revival that led to Futurama's years on Comedy Central for season 7 all the way to season 10. One was good, one was bad, and the rest were average. Those last 3 seasons were solid as well, but some of the episodes just fell off or didn't really fit in with the world of Futurama. Overall, the show has a very high quality to it, and even weaker episodes aren't awful. Well, except those clip show episodes. It should be noted that those later seasons of Futurama had some of the best episodes in them, along with some of the weakest. To give credit, even the clip show episodes could be funny at times, and there isn't an episode that I consider outright bad. Even classic Futurama had the What If Machine episodes that basically played the same role. So, how does season 11 compare to the rest? Let's find out. The episode continues off from season 10, where time basically is fixed. The episode makes a ton of jokes about the fact that the show has been gone for 10 years and it bases itself around Hulu. Past episodes of Futurama did this, though this episode doesn't stop and it can get grating. I get it, you're back, you don't mean to make the same joke 50 times. Basically, after realising it's been 23 years since he came to the future, Fry decides to watch every show on Earth, which leads to the over-exaggeration of binge watching. However, Fry ends up binging shows at such a ridiculous rate that his brain could shut down if he finishes the last show on his list, All My Circuits. The episode is alright, Fry and the Professor sound off throughout the season to be fair, and the episode itself was a bit dull for a follow-up to the ending of season 10. Overall, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. This episode focuses on the plot set up during season 5, Kif Gets Knocked Up. Essentially, Kif got pregnant after making contact with Leela, and would go to his home world to give birth, while also conflicting Amy who wasn't ready to be a mother. Now that it has been 20 years, the two would return to pick up their surviving kids. The episode introduces new secondary characters to make use of throughout the rest of the season, and thankfully they're not horrible. However, the kids find Leela more fun than their exhausted mother Amy, while Kif has been called to serve alongside Sap. This leads to a conflict that gets worse when the All-Mother sets up the finale of the episode. This episode felt much more in line with Futurama of the past, and was miles better than the previous episode, 8 out of 10. This episode tackles Bitcoin in an interesting way, comparing it to the gold rush of the ye olde West. Season 11 goes very topical in this season, which I'm never going to be a fan of. This episode is solid though, bringing in some of the classic characters like the Robot Mafia. I'm just glad Futurama is avoiding shit like COVID. 7 out of 10. This episode is odd. Obviously inspired by season 3's Parasites Lost, the episode takes place at a micro level inside Nibbler's litter tray. Turns out Nibbler has parasites that are making him stupid and are festering in the litter box, and the crew goes in to eliminate them. It's nowhere near as good as Parasites Lost, and I just wasn't into the setting of this episode, though I think the jokes save it alongside Bender being Bender. 6 out of 10. This episode is very mixed for me. I don't mind the obvious nod to Amazon, but this feels kinda late to do, especially after South Park already did it well. There is a future twist on it though, as the show brings in Mom as the new head of Mamazon. They didn't even fucking try with that one. If it isn't obvious, I'm not into social commentaries or anything topical, probably because every show keeps fucking doing it. 5 out of 10. We got ourselves a Christmas episode, and best of all, it's one of the best episodes of Futurama. Futurama in its later seasons always managed to have a standout episode, and I think we have ours here. After being abandoned by everyone else, Bender and Zoidberg end up spending Xmas together. Meanwhile, the Professor uses his time machine from the Season 7 episode The Late Philip J. Fry to travel back in time and fix Robot Santa. Jealous that they were abandoned, Bender and Zoidberg kidnap Santa using the time machine to get back at the rest of the crew. The episode really lets Bender and Zoidberg go at their best, and the twist at the end of the episode is generally fun and makes perfect use of the setting of Futurama. This is what I expect from Futurama. 10 out of 10. I'm just glad Futurama is avoiding shit like COVID. Fuck this episode, it's the worst episode to date. I had issues with the Amazon episode, but at least that episode used the setting of the show to pull a sci-fi twist on it. Also, the idea of Amazon just becoming the universe was funny. This episode, however, is fucking agony to sit through. If you couldn't tell, it's an episode based on COVID-19. While it tries to make do with the concepts involved with the lockdowns, vaccines and the changes to life and work, the episode just isn't interesting and makes no sense in the context of the show. Another episode which dealt with a similar premise was Cold Warriors from Season 8, where the common cold was essentially a disease in line with COVID for the show. The episode set itself up with Fry's history with his dad, his high school, and goes nuts with how the world plans to deal with it, by chucking New York into the sun. However, this episode focuses on Hermes and goes all over the place with claims of the disease is hoodoo magic. I've never felt so fucking pained by Futurama. 1 out of 10. This is the worst episode of Futurama to date. The entire episode felt like a first draft. I expect much more. Oh god, another topical social commentary. Oh, it's actually good. After pushing Kif to the limit, Zap is forced to take sensitivity training and is replaced by Leela, who grows tired of being the best employee at her job. I feel like Fry and Bender were a bit of a push, but the two serve as comedic add-ons and don't overstay their welcome. It's pretty much a standard episode of Futurama, but given what the last episode was like, I was so glad it wasn't something poorly written. 8 out of 10. Okay, so you know those clip show episodes? They brought them back. The episode is trying to parody toy adverts, I assume, with stuff like wind-up toys, cars and rubber ducks of all things. In between this is a weird plot of Leela falling for a prince, then skipping ahead and then revealing it was magic. Oh, where have I heard that before? Not great overall. 3 out of 10. All the way down goes into the topic that life is a simulation. I like the episode, but it's kind of meh compared to this season's other episodes. It does have some good jokes though. The episode also uses the simulation to tell its plot, with the main universe watching in and reacting to the development. It's definitely one of the weaker finales, but overall it's an okay episode. 6 out of 10. Season 11 kind of exists. I say this is the weakest season of the show so far, but not by much. Futurama did slowly suffer in its later seasons, and it seems history has repeated itself here. Still, I'm curious if we'll get another season, or if we need one. Personally, I think Futurama should have been left alone, but that's just my opinion. There are definitely episodes that I enjoyed, one which I absolutely hated, but most kinda just feel meh overall. That concludes the video. I'll see you in the next one.